Right, let's do a bit of film. So this is the back wall of the camper, and I've removed, this is the spare wheel bracket, which weighs a bloody ton. I don't know why it's so heavy. I'm sure it doesn't need to be like that, but that is well rusty. I took it off because we've got this one panel left. This is the right hand rear panel under that window, and it's a cat flap. Yes, anyway, rotten across the bottom, and it was held on very oddly that there were nuts on there, so undid those nuts, removed that panel, and there's a board behind it, and there were nuts on that as well. And as you can see, the bottom of that is well rotten, and no obvious water tracks particularly. Whether it's been coming in through those bolt holes or through this door. I mean, this door is not sealed at all, it's just a hole. Whether it's been coming in at the bottom and just running along this sort of channel here. Anyway, that's that. This is all delaminated and it's full of this rubbish underneath. Might actually go down, so I'll scrape all that out, and then I shall cut it back to about here, maybe leave an inch or two along there, give it a thorough clean and laminate it back on. There's a lot of DIY attempts at this dry laminating stuff, and unless you clean it thoroughly, you just got no chance. So along this back corner I'm hoping to put a loo in, maybe a shower, a sink somewhere here, and cooker, and water bottles. I like a removable bottle. I mean, if you camped up on a site and you run out of water and it's fixed, you've got to take the whole van to the water filler and fill it up that way. And so I'd rather have several water carriers of a not too big size, and I'll keep one here and maybe a couple up front somewhere. I'm trying to keep the weight down on the back. I don't want it tail heavy if I can help it. So I'll get all this cleaned out and scraped out. Just going through some of the stuff that came with it. So here's the original door. The top half's got some Morris Minor hinges on it. And the bottom half has got these things on it. These are the bits cut off the side of the body, which is a real shame because I'd have to fix that, but at least I know what it looked like. And the top door was somehow too narrow, and somebody's had a go at making it wider, not very successfully, and they've reinforced this in a fashion. That didn't really work, did it? But they'd actually cast in hollow, and that shouldn't be hollow. And there's a crown that way. I think it's pretty flat this way. Anyway, it gives me good stuff to work with. I mean, if it didn't have this body line in, I could make that out of rigid fiberglass sheet, but especially as it's a tapering body line. So I'll have to use this as a pattern somehow, but I'll come back to that. And then I got a box of bits. Nothing overly useful. Is that seat belt okay still? Gas thingy. Various petrol caps and filler tubes and stuff. That seat belt actually looks okay, but probably just fit new ones. The back seat of the Cortina, and she gave me that for if I need to do any patching or anything. So I wonder how that stayed with the car all these years. These are quite handy. These are exterior door seals, and they're quite expensive, they are, so hopefully they're good to go. Quite a few caravan doors and bits and stuff which I probably won't use. Some trim, fuel tank, various odds and ends. The fuse box ends up in a real awkward place right up in this hole here underneath this bulkhead. I think here's a lesson on how to set fire to a fiberglass car. I don't think those fuses are original Ford, are they? So I'm going to unhook this and clean it all up. I'm going to try and devise a way of putting longer screws in here so that I can easily undo it. These are the screws I took out, which I had to attack with mole grips. There's just not enough space to get a screwdriver on. I'll try and come up with a better idea. Right, let's go and have a look at this today, at the back of the van now. And I don't quite know what's going on here, but this isn't in the centre of the van, this isn't in the centre of the van. These two aren't centralised against each other, so I don't know why all that is. And then we've got this door here which doesn't open because it bumps into the tow bar. So I'm going to take all this off, clean it up and see what it looks like. And this side of the van is more or less flat. This side of the van is a bit bulbous, I guess because that spare wheel's been leaning on it. So take it all off, clean it up. Oh, we've got a hole there by the look of it, so maybe that's got something to do with that. Let's see what we've got. Here's all the bits stripped off. And I suspect that is the middle, that's where an original number plate lamp was. And as I leaned on this to get the number plate off, water poured out of this light unit, which is not ideal. Yeah, we've got a hole there, needs sorting. And this is the stuff I took off. And this door is pretty cracked all over, so I might just totally remake that. Getting better, got all that cruddy rust off there. Just bleached it down. I've got these stripes, and these are, I think, from the rubber that's deteriorating there. I'll try a bit 1000, no, I've got some 2000 grit. Try that and then buffing it out, see what happens. That's with some 2000 grit. And it looks like there's a sticker there, and I think that's a Cymru Welsh sticker. but I've just done that bit and not that bit. I'm just going to polish that now. That's pretty good. There is actually a gloss on that, but you can't really see it. So when I get a machine on that and do the rest of it, because I've done all this by hand, that should come up alright. So just for comparison, that side is just washed, and that side I've been over with a 2000 Trizac disc and then just hand rubbed it with some Fiberglass. And the Trizac disc I used on a green car before, and where it's chipped it's left it green, so I'll have to retouch those. That company sign is proving hard to remove, it's embedded into the gel coat. But that's pretty tidy now. Pretty tidy. I'm going to look at seeing what rubber's available. They've all spread at the top and they're all bleeding, leaving dirty marks. So I'm going to see if I can measure the thickness of the fiberglass. Well, I know pretty much what that is. Let's see what the glass is. So if I can poke that through the gap and then scribe a mark this side, it should give me a thickness. Well, I sort of have a plan. I want to get this mobile. The engine sort of runs, but it was very noisy because there's hardly any exhaust in it. And I'm now looking forward. It actually came with the new exhaust, not fitted, but it finished here. So I had the downpipe and the front exhaust, but it's so noisy. So to not piss the neighbours off too much, try and quieten it down a bit. So I've replaced it. That front pipe I had to shorten by about 1 inch. So that's all standard going forward, standard Cortina. Then when it comes up over the axle here, and it's been previously bashed in here around this rear spring to give a little bit of clearance, I guess, so I think I'm in the ballpark. And then as the pipe goes back to the outside of the chassis, I had to modify it. If we can see it, there's a join here. I had to take a few inches out of the length of that because it was sticking out too close to the wheel. Right, so now we're between the two rear wheels and I'm on the left side. So that's where I shortened it. This is originally where it connected to the back box, and the previous owner had already chopped it there, and so I'd got no straight bit to connect it. So I had this piece made. This is about how long is that? 1.5 foot long, and I expanded at each end. I charged me a tenner for that, so that's pretty good. And then the rear box, I've turned it back to front, which I took their advice, and I say that's acceptable, and it fitted better that way. And then here is where it's originally cut off, so I've connected that at an angle and then tipped it back down again so it comes out horizontally and misses that rear tow bar. I've still got to invent a support for there. Well, that's pretty much in now, so that's done. Now I'm looking at the electrics, and I just want to make it safe really. This is the loom as it comes from the front backwards, and it was connected to this block with all black wires. So they made life very difficult for themselves. So it went into this sheathing here, that was joined on there. So you've got to identify all those black wires at the other end. There is one earth which narrows it down slightly, and then some of these were connected, some, well, I think there's 2 connected and the rest were hanging out. And I've identified most of those. There's 2 I'm not sure what they are yet, which is this yellow and black and this grey and black. This foxed me for a long time, this one here. As it came out the loom, it's white and grey, and I couldn't find a white and grey in the book. But then as you bear it back, it becomes red and grey, which is what I wanted. So that's that, and what I'm going to use is trailer wire. And then that will sort of make sense to some people in the future, because trailer wire, that's what it's for really, to the back lights. So connect all that up. Rear lights, this was what was fitted, well, sort of fitted, with 1 bolt about 1 mile long to go through 3mm of fiberglass. Anyway, I look at these and no screws in it. I'll pull it off, and half of it's missing, half of it's smashed to bits. So I'll need to replace those. I didn't like them anyway, they look like they've come off a lorry or something. I'll try and find something a bit more stylish, something LED maybe. And this was the number plate lamp, which is a Hella. A quite nice brand, but that seal is never going to seal over that length with just a screw each end, and it hadn't when I took this off. Water poured out and this was black with growth, so I'll replace that as well. This is on the inside, looking at the back wall, and I think I found a marine style hatch that will fit that gap, which will save me making something. And I sort of laid out where I'm going to put things. Waste, and that will never really be travelling with anything in it, so that'll be emptied at every opportunity. Small gas, what do we call that, 307 is it? I forget anyway. Or a 37, I don't know. What is it? A 907. 907. We don't use a lot of gas. Boiler kettle, maybe some toast, but we eat out a lot, so that's all we're going to be using that for. Small fresh water, and I'll be keeping more of these containers somewhere more up front and just having one at the back. Bit of a pain being so small. I might go for a bigger one, we'll see. I've got a few to choose from. Maybe that one might be more suitable. We'll see how we get on. I did want to have an underslung waste tank, but there's just no room for that. But I've given that wall a good scrub before I continue. Some hot soapy water. So I'll need to do some fiberglassing to that, and that'll be a bit of a head start to get some of the muck off it. I think these have been put on by a previous owner. I can't imagine that's factory. And this one's certainly not. It's loose at that end. And this one, not doing a lot. So I'll crack on with the wiring now.